have to understand how things are up here.
Lindsey Gibeau, welcome to OV Boss Babes.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
And Lindsey, I'm so excited to be in your aesthetically pleasing house. Thank you so much. Or really, should I say, thank you to your husband, because apparently he doesn't let just anybody come here and do any branding or photo shoots here.
It's true. It's a pretty private space, but welcome. Please make it your own.
Thank you. So, Lindsey, I've been following you for quite some time now, and I actually remember meeting you at an event about 2 or 3 years ago back in Arnprior. The lovely Jen Ruchelot invited us to speak collectively along with Sarah, the Unstoppable Mama influencer. We spoke at a lovely event along with Amber Sweeney as well for a women's event.
That was such a beautiful event.
And that is really where I got to learn more about you. And I was like, who is this boss babe? She is such an eloquent speaker. And I started following along on your journey. But Lindsey, I mean, 2-3 years ago, a lot has changed for you. You have grown into such a successful brand. And you have really encompassed all parts of that brand.
Thank you very much. Yes, it has been a journey, but of an exciting one.
Yeah. No, Lindsey, it's interesting because I feel like your industry in photography was so overlooked for so long. I feel like it was almost not really regarded as much of a profession. And it's been really, really great to see somebody like yourself take that and really blow it out of the park and build your own empire, as well as like take it up to the next caliber, so to speak, because I actually really and truthfully, just to share with everybody, I really wanted you as my keynote speaker for my 4th annual International Women's Day event. And you politely declined because your client is whisking you off away to Vegas.
Yes.
For a branding shoot, which, I mean, humble brag, no big deal.
Oh, well, thank you. I know I was so sad to not be able to do that. But yes, Vegas, WPPI, I'm going there to be in the conference. And then lucky enough, I had a client in the States that's been dying to shoot with me. And I was like, I'm going to be in Vegas. And she's like, I'm flying there. We're meeting. And so that's kind of, how it happened.
But how cool is that though, Lindsey? Like to say that now you are not only a brand photographer, but a well sought after brand photographer who is now doing speaking engagements at conferences, at workshops, and now is jetting all over the place. Like you were just in Prince Edward County this weekend as well with a client. Like you're everywhere.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. And it's been an exciting year for sure.
Yeah. But let's go back though. I want to hear about your journey. Walk me through what you were doing before you entered into the world of photography.
For sure. So I was one of those weird teenagers that knew I wanted to be a photographer in high school. And like by grade 10, I was like getting all the schools. I knew I wanted to get out of Arnprior at the time, go only to Toronto. And so that's what I did. I went to Toronto. I studied photography in school. 4 years later, I also got my degree just in case because my parents thought I would fail at photography. No, just joking. They're super supportive, but it's always good to have a degree to fall back on. So yeah, I spent, I guess, the next 2 years after school just traveling in Banff in Australia, serving actually. I was still doing photography on the side, but like I thought I was a snowboard photographer and a fashion photographer and nature photographer. You know, all us photographers start out there. But it wasn't until I came back from Australia to Ottawa where I actually started doing it kind of full time. And it's a funny story, and I believe in like the universe and like manifesting, but I was back maybe like 3 days from Australia, and I'd taken my Australian partner with me, boyfriend at the time, and we went to go see Michelle Valberg's exhibit at the Museum of Nature, who I hadn't heard about at the time. And then the next day we were walking down Westboro and I see her photo studio. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to go inside there and see if she's there. And apparently she's never there, ever. And I went in, and that day she was there, and her assistant just told her that morning that she was leaving her to go to Australia. And that was the day I actually walked into her place. And I was like, I just got back from Australia. I want to be a photographer. And she pretty well hired me on the spot. She's like, we need to meet tomorrow for coffee. And we hit it off. And then I started like working for her.
Amazing.
So, yeah. So that's where it kind of all started out.
So were you one of those that wanted to pursue photography in school then too? Did you take a photography
Yes. Yeah.
course?
I took a photography course. Yes.
Now when I went to school, art and photography classes were one of those filler classes, I would say. And I don't really think that it was taken as seriously as it is now. Did you find that? Like, how was your teacher? How are the students in the class? Like, were you actively thinking that this might be something you wanted to pursue down the road?
For sure, yeah, I knew it.
Yeah.
Was I like a super great student and I was concerned about partying and drinking like most college students were? But no, I knew I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And I knew I wanted to do it, and eventually it would all fall into place. But for sure, actually, when I started, it was mostly like a male-driven industry, the photography industry. And all my teachers were mostly male. I remember I had, I think, one teacher that was female. But yeah, no, I actually did think that I would do it. You know, just that crazy belief when you're a kid. But I didn't take it in high school, shockingly enough. I wasn't in the darkroom there. I think I had too many courses I wanted to take.
Yeah.
And I was one of those eager ones that didn't take whatever that thing is, a spare. I didn't want to take a spare. I had too many classes to take.
Yeah.
I know.
That's so interesting. I always love hearing about people's journeys about what led them down the path to their full-time career and stuff. But Lindsey, how did you narrow down your niche? Because you were talking about dabbling in different areas, different focuses of photography. Like, how did you decide that it was brand photography that you wanted to do?
For sure. So like all photographers, I started out in weddings. Like I think the majority of photographers do, because everyone gets married. I found it was easier to get work that way. You know, you start with your photographing your family members, and then it sort of spreads out from there. And at the time I was assisting Michelle, and she did everything. She did like weddings, families, it all. So I assisted her. So I kind of learned the basics of everything. And then naturally through weddings, you get newborn clients, right? Your engagement people now come to you for newborn clients. And then those newborn clients turned into family portrait clients. So I spent many years doing family portraits, probably like 10 years doing family portraits and weddings. So eventually, and then I had my own child. I was like, I'm going to be a newborn photographer. I love newborns, you know. And then I had a baby and I was like, oh God, that's not for me. I mean, being a mom is, but I don't want to be around babies all day long. Shout out to the people that do it, because it's like, it's a skill. It's an artful skill.
It's
to
a
be
different kind of patience as well. Because you
yes,
have patience for your own children. It's no different than daycare providers and teachers. You have your patience for your own kids, but it takes another level of patience when you're trying to navigate that with other people.
sure.
But especially babies, because they're unpredictable.
And you have to be a baby whisperer, and there's like so many like delicate skills that come along with that.
Yeah.
So I'd say I spent about like maybe even 12 years doing weddings, newborns, families, maternity, everything. And then about 7 years ago, I started doing headshots and loving it. And I fell in love with like just photographing women and hearing about their stories. And I just wanted to help elevate their voices. And like they had, you know, just stories they wanted to share. And most of them were kind of like, shy on camera and afraid to do so. And I just wanted to make them feel comfortable and elevate their stories. And headshots turned into branding. And that's where I've been sort of focused on these last few years. And it's been, when you're passionate about something, like the stars align to make it kind of work for you. So I really feel like that's what happened for me.
All right, Lindsey, so tell me when you started thinking that you were ready to break away from Michelle and start working for yourself and really create Lindsey Gibeau photography.
For sure. So it was during my first pregnancy. I was on mat leave. Thank God I was actually working for her at the time. So I was actually taking mat leave.
Yeah,
My
you actually got
child-
one.
Yeah, I had no money. I was like, I got to go back to work right away. So it was during my mat leave where I like built my own website, kind of got everything lined up. So when I reemerged, I think I only took maybe 6 months off, didn't take the full one. I would be fully self-sufficient as Lindsey Gibeau Photography.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time is when we met Miv, who owned Westboro Studio. Or actually, it wasn't Westboro Studio at the time. He had his own business. And we kind of emerged under one roof there as Westboro Studio. So it was myself, Miv, Brittany Golly, and Michelle, and we all had our own businesses kind of working separately. And that's when it all started, on my own.
That's amazing. So how did you guys all meet then? And how did you guys all form under one roof, actually, so to speak?
Right. Well, Michelle knew Miv from like back in the day. They had been friends for like 15 years. And we were out having wine one night, as we usually did, me, her, and Britt. And Miv, I guess, was a surprise meeting for us that night, had sent us over like, I think, gin and tonics or something, and then walked all up and said, hey, I'm Miv. But it was just a funny story. And he came in, and it was at that little drinking night that we said, hey, let's do this. Like, the space is big enough for all four of us. It'll be perfect because we don't need each our own space like 24/7. And we can rely on each other when we can't be there. Like Michelle was so busy at that point that she was just like, I need someone to pass on my referral jobs to, right? And Miv was into architectural photography and Brittany was in her own thing. So it was like a perfect combination with the four of us all together.
That's amazing. What a great partnership. And then for you guys all to share the space collectively, and it's still working out well. You guys now have like a home where you guys can bring your clients to. Now, do you have like a schedule, like a calendar for how people book in and stuff?
Thank God for Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Because you can just really book online. Now Brittany's in Vancouver, so it's just the three of us. And Michelle is actually mostly in the Arctic and like Antarctic photographing whales and beautiful wildlife now. So it's mostly just me and Miv at the studio. So it really works out.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And it's kind of central located. I know I'm like living in Arpar, of course, but it's like 40 minutes to get to. So it's easy.
And your husband's happy because then nobody has to come to the house.
Exactly. Right? Even though I'd love to shoot here. Yes. No one needs to come.
Now, in your own words, how would you say, Lindsey, that you've helped elevate women in their presence online through a unique storytelling digital aspect by constantly showing up without necessarily selling? Because that's a really difficult aspect, I think, especially in building your brand and on the socials. Like, how do you do that? And how do you empower women to show up authentically themselves?
So yeah, that's a great question, right? Because if anyone's like us, females, we hate selling. It feels wrong and feels almost like dirty, which it shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
But so I work with women to really find out who they are and what makes them different. Like, how are they serving other people? What's their uniqueness? And how can we bring that to life through visual storytelling? So I like to think I can draw it out of them, sort of help create the narrative, and then give them all the tools they need to actually show up, because we're afraid to show up online, right? We don't want to show up. We don't like the way we look. We don't like our weight. We don't know what to wear. We don't know. There's like a list on and on and on things that we don't like. So I can empower them with like a set guide of how do I help you show up, through wardrobe, prop, location guidance, and then actually like how can we share your stories, right? What props we're going to use to tell? What can we really make those come to life? And then they can authentically connect with their audience and they don't need to sell because they're just all about sharing their story, building that community.
Yep.
And that naturally will lead to sales without having to post like every post. Here's what I'm selling. Buy, buy, buy. It's like people want to buy from you because they like you.
And it's interesting because we're living in a time where authenticity is so important and people don't want to be sold to. You know what I mean? Like they don't want to feel like they're seeing the same thing or where you're asking for the same thing on social media. It really has to be hidden in your messaging and it has to come across genuine and real.
1,000%, because the people feel that, right? Mm-hmm. But the more you aligned, and here's what I've been striving for, like what you think, what you say, and what you do are all in alignment. And like when that aligns with your core values and we can somehow bring that to life in a photo, like people believe it. Like there's a certain energy that's created and people want to buy from you or people want to use your services.
So how do you do that with your clients? How do you pull that out of them during a branding shoot?
I know. So it's different with each one. So like we were in Prince Edward County this past weekend and she was a trademark lawyer. And people already knew her as a trademark lawyer, but she wanted to show her, her true self. Mm-hmm. And so we had I usually send like a brand DNA questionnaire and then we hop on like a call to kind of storytell. And through that call, I discovered, okay, she's totally into sustainability. She actually lives in an unearthed rammed home. If you know what this is, it's like this sustainable home. It's beautiful that looks like rocks. Anyway, she's a wine lover. She lives in Prince Edward County. So through this kind of like a question answer type thing, we designed this beautiful shoot in her home where we went to a winery. We actually did shots, right near the barrels. And like you could tell it just made her come alive. And that's what you want to catch is that like aliveness because people want to work with passionate people, right? People already knew she was a good trademark lawyer, but now she was trying to draw in those particular clients who valued sustainability, who valued, being their best selves and women supporting women. So yeah, it's like a different thing each time. But
yeah. I think it's really important to have that initial discovery call to learn about your client versus just showing up and working with the atmosphere and the environment and the props that they have or maybe things that you bring because you need to develop that working relationship with them. You need to understand what they like, what they enjoy, what part of their brand encompasses them. And you, I guess, Lindsey, have really had to learn about a lot of different industries in this regard too, by learning so much about each person individually, but also their industry aspects that will help showcase like exactly what an architect is, what a real estate agent is, what OV Boss Babes is, right? Like for anything like that, like you really have to narrow down to fully understand what makes them them.
1,000%. Yeah. And I like it though. It's like, that's what encourages me to like continue on this. Like I love learning about people and what makes them tick and really what sets their soul on fire. Like,
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Now, Lindsey, what would you say is the difference between building a personal brand and building a business brand?
For sure. So I think before, like back in the day, they were super duper separate. Like you either had a business brand or you had a personal brand. Now they're kind of merging together. So with a personal brand, you want to show your character traits. You want to show your personalities, you know, what's your likes and don'ts. Versus a corporate brand or a business brand is more about their values as a whole, the services they're selling, you know, the products. But people don't necessarily want to buy from just a big corporate entity now. Like they want to know who the founder, what does the founder believe in? Are they about, you know, supporting women? What are their, like, if I'm going to be purchasing these products from the business brand, how is it going to be helping the people I want to help? Mm-hmm. So I think merging those two identities is super important these days. But also, even if you're not like an entrepreneur like us, keeping a personal brand is super important, whether you want to get hired somewhere else or promoted. If you can have a personal brand on the side, I believe it will set you like apart and you will actually, you know, break the ceiling or whatever they say, break the glass faster because you have that sort of know, like, and trust about you. And people are going to look for that. Even with dating, they say there's like a 30% more chance that you'll find a better partner if you have a personal brand. Like,
isn't it funny?
Yeah.
But I can see that though.
They're going to go check.
Yes.
Do you have a website? Am I going to be catfished? Like,
well,
they
will look at your Facebook and your social networks first and foremost.
Exactly.
They're doing the research before, you know, they even hit that send message. Well, maybe for women anyways, maybe not so much for men, but
right though. And so you have a personal brand, whether you like it or not. And personal brand is the digitization of your reputation. Mm-hmm. So if you're not in control of that personal brand, like it's out there. Yeah. So it's like, why not take control of that and actually share the stories that you want to share? And like, so you can sort of control what people think of you when they see your brand. Mm-hmm.
Now, I had a conversation with a business owner one time who I resonated with, but I feel like my mindset has kind of shifted a little bit in terms of her outlook. So she had called her business she, and she had like referred to her business as a different identity. And I resonated with that until I didn't, because I now think that you are your brand and your business is separate. Like how you view your business is one thing, but then you are your brand behind your business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because I think that you are your brand. You are the person that's behind building everything. And regardless of the team of people that's behind you, regardless of how many employees you have or subcontractors you have, the person who is the CEO and founder, like you're that brand. And that is what I think really encompasses everything about building a business empire.
1,000%. And if you are that brand, then if you decide to switch career paths later on in life, you can take that with you. Like you're not starting from scratch. It's like you're the brand now, and now you're starting something new. It's so beneficial.
So with that, building on that question, how can branding photography boost your business, create more brand awareness, increase customer engagement, and ultimately generate more revenue?
For sure. So it's all about creating that know, like, and trust. The more you show up consistently online through images, the more people get to know you, the more people want to buy from you. And it just all goes hand in hand. Like, I think it was Lewis Howes. Do you know Lewis Howes?
No,
I love him, from the School of Greatness. He's been quoted by saying like brand photography is one of the number one ways to like boost your brand awareness, right? Because you're creating that picture. So when people look at you, they're going to think of this. So if you consistently show up online, people are just going to want to, you know, work with someone like you. I want to work with people I like. Mm-hmm. I don't want to work with someone who looks stern in a photo and is looking like super duper corporate, but not something I want to hang with, right? So they want to buy from people they trust, and you can do that through consistent imagery.
Mm-hmm. Well, how important is it, Lindsey, to have up-to-date and current headshots, and how often should we really be getting them done?
That is a great question. So back when I started doing headshots like 8 years ago, it was common knowledge to like every 4 years or so you can get your headshot done. Yeah. Okay. The times have changed now. Like now people are wanting like current, up to date. Your photo is everywhere. Most of the time your clients don't even meet you, right? They look you up on LinkedIn. I I do this all the time before my clients look up. I look them up on LinkedIn, and you have that one shot for a first impression, right? So they don't want to see a photo of you from 10 years ago, or like a cutout from like a trip where you can tell they're in like their bikini, but it's been cropped. And this is all you want, like, right? This happens a lot.
Yeah.
You want like just a beautiful current headshot of you. And unfortunately for us women, we're always changing our hair, style, color, cut. So as soon as you do that, you almost need a new headshot as well. So think long and hard when you've scheduled that appointment and you're going to be spending time to, to pick out your outfit and, spend the money. So decide on what you want your hair to look like for the next year or two. It's a big decision. But then it has a little bit of longevity. You might be able to last 2 or 3 years opposed to getting it done every year. So, yeah.
And things I always think to keep in mind is your hair color. Obviously, when we're pregnant, like I went on a local lawyer's website the other day, and she still had pictures from when she was pregnant, and her daughter's now 3. And so I thought, oh, you can definitely, use a little bit of an upgrade in terms of photos. And I think it represents who you are currently and where you are in your stage of life too. Like, it's not to say that you're not the same, like you don't have the same kind of look, but we all evolve over time. And it's no different, like what you were talking about earlier, Lindsey, for dating profiles.
Yes.
Nothing is worse than when you're looking at a photo of like what you look like, 2-3 years ago and being like, I have completely changed. I have, just changed my look. And it's always good and refreshing to have new pictures done.
1,000%.
Yeah. Now, Lindsey, does it matter if you're a service provider, if you're selling digital products, or you're a boutique owner with a brick and mortar business? Like, does it matter what industry you're in terms of how often you rotate and get new headshots done?
I think it's important across any industry. Like even the store I go shopping with in downtown Arnprior, like I love to know that there's now like a new owner. She has shots all the time. Like people love that, right? They want to see who they're buying from. So I think across all industries, it's super important. Obviously something that like realtors who have to be online 24/7, they're going to need more shoots. They might need 2 personal branding shoots a year because they're pumping out content so quickly. Where other industries like a lawyer, maybe they just need a headshot once or twice a year. They don't really need to be posting online as much as like other entrepreneurs. So yeah, I guess it does depend on your industry, but for sure you want a fresh headshot, looking your best, polished. And like you said, your style evolves, your personality evolves. You want something that shows that current you. So yeah.
Now, online presence is an absolute must in today's day and age, and entrepreneurs need more images of themselves as well as their products and services. And brand photography goes hand in hand along with product photography as well. Like, we need to keep up to date with all the product images too, especially if you're selling products. Now, your followers care about your product, but they really, truly care about who the babe is behind the brand. And so why is it important for a brand to show their face and who the individual or individuals are behind the business itself?
Yes, 1,000%. So you want to show up as kind of your expert in your field, right? You want to be that thought leader in your community. So people think of you as the expert. So it's so important to just not only show up online in your personal life, but just to show up on Instagram, just constantly telling your story. Like, you just want to be that expert. So if you stay top of mind. So if anyone's like, oh my God, like I need, a headshot, if you've been hiding out and haven't been showing up online every day for the past year, they're not going to think of you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm like super duper busy right now, it's so important to just have that consistent showing up online to stay top of mind, to really try and capture those.
Oh God, the consistency is the hugest element around that. Like, but what about for people who don't feel confident or don't feel that they can do that? Like they look at someone like yourself and me, Lindsey, and they think like, oh, they must be extroverts or they must have the confidence in order to show their face constantly. But that's not always the case. But how do you develop that to be able to finally feel like you're able to put yourself out there on the socials on a regular basis?
Right? So it's courage over confidence. Like, you don't need the confidence to do it, you need the courage to do it.
Love that.
And you're right. If you look at my page, you would think that all these girls were like influencers. Like, they show up looking so beautiful and so confident. But in actuality, like 98% of my clients, when they meet me, they walk in the studio door saying, I'm not photogenic. I hate having my photo taken. I don't know what to do. I don't want to be here. Like 98%, I kid you not, start this way. So it's just pulling that out of them, right? Through posing. You know, I always put on fun music. You kind of catch a vibe, but you have to kind of pull it out of them and just literally, like, you've already trained them on like wardrobe and everything, but you bring it out of them through all the guidance on set. So at the end of it, they're actually feeling confident. They're feeling strong. So when they actually post online, they're proud to post. They have an image they love about themselves. And it might even look more confident than they are, but it's like you have something to work up to. It's like I knew I felt confident in that moment. Now I'm going to try and be that person and hopefully even surpass that person.
I've been called Amanda Talker since I was a little girl, and I was always like the storyteller since I was a kid. My name is Amanda Walker, and I own Amanda Talker Media. We focus on brand identity, photography, and social media. I wanted to show my passion and how loud I am and how eccentric I am for other businesses, and do that and turn up their business for them. But I was always told and teased as a kid too that I was too eccentric and too much, too loud. I felt too much, was too sensitive. So it was important for me to start this brand using that name, because I always thought that was a huge flaw about me. So I think that turning that around, that insecurity of mine, and showing my son that you can do and be whoever you want to be, and don't let other people tell you who you are. You own who you are, and you be confident in who you are. I started this because I wanted to help brands develop their story and their identity. That theme, and making people feel more at ease with their story and how they're going to portray it to their audience.
Welcome to Butler's Babble. We strive to create a platform where we can share stories of resilience, strength, and personal growth. We are dedicated to showcasing individuals who have overcome various traumas in their lives, whether they are physical, emotional, mental, or financial, and have emerged on the other side stronger, wiser, and living their best lives. This is Butler's Babble.
The best way to understand life in a Lapine apartment is to hear from the happy people who call one home.
We were just starstruck by the place. It's so quiet and safe.
It's a good space. We got 2 bedrooms and an office.
It's really convenient and comfortable.
They got a full-size gym, which is kind of awesome.
You really get to relax and do the things that you really like within the building.
We finally have a place to call our own.
Yeah.
Call the Lapine apartment home in a neighborhood you love.
Lindsey, do you have a hashtag for your business? Because I feel like courage over confidence is what it should be.
Right?
I love that so much, because it's so true. You need to get the courage in order to pursue anything, and then you get the confidence afterwards.
1,000%. And you don't need all the answers, right?
Yeah.
This is why historically men have actually like outbeat females in like salary and job titles and everything, because they don't need all the answers. They go for it. They don't care if they don't like know everything. They're like, yeah, I can do this. So we just need to take a page out of that book and just go for it. You don't need all the answers. Just do it. You just have to do it. And hopefully you have someone supporting you and someone walking you through the way. But yeah, just do it before you're ready.
Yeah. Now, Lindsey, I really want to pick your brain, because you see a lot of people using brand imagery on the socials, but I'm sure you see a lot of mistakes that business owners are doing. And so can you tell us like what you're seeing so that we can correct ourselves and not make these same mistakes?
For sure. So through photography, of course, a lot of the people aren't showing themselves. Just like we talked about, they're not brave enough to actually be posting their photos online. So they're just posting photos about their products or posting photos about their services and deals they have on, but they're not showing themselves. It's like we used to have to show up once in every 9 blocks. I think that's like doubled or tripled now. Like people want to see you. So show up more online. And also, they're not being consistent, right? And maybe they have been for a year. And I think it's Ed Milet that says this. It's like hitting the piñata, right? They've been hitting the piñata for a full year. And now, like, it's just about to break. Like, you're just about to get success. And then they give up, right? And if they could only hit that, if they'll keep posting for a few more days or keep pushing for a few more days, they might have hit success. And they didn't know how close they were So it's just keep showing up and being consistent. And if you don't give up, like, you won't fail. So just keep at it and stay focused. Stay focused, because Rory Vaden says, diluted solutions make the, I don't know, anyways, it's staying focused, and that will be like the cure to everything.
Yeah. You know what, the other thing too is that marketing tools can be your best friend. Like, I live in Canva as well as CapCut, because the tools and effects that you can do and the digital backgrounds that you can create and take your body shot, your body image, and like place it in different areas and in different backgrounds. I mean, you can effectively take anything, and especially with a high quality digital image of yourself, you can make magic happen.
1,000%.
So there's tons of content that you've got now for like the next month.
Right? And I couldn't agree more. And you can reuse it in so many ways. My biggest pet peeve is someone has a branding shoot and now they have like 75 beautiful images and then they don't know how to use them.
Yeah. And they
put one on the about page and one on, something else on their website, and then the other 73 images go unnoticed. So it's like, how can you repurpose those? Make them into reels, drop them into Canva, put like beautiful testimonials over top. Have a beautiful quote over top of your image. You can cut it out with a click of a button now on Canva. Yeah, drop out the background, get your color code for your business and drop it in behind. You do a great job of that, right? I can see you utilizing your images, but so many people don't. So like Canva, number one tool, it's my favorite tool. Flowdesk. I love Flowdesk for like beautifully like designed emails. You look like a graphic designer. You could pop in like 3 or 4 images of you that all kind of have a flow with the text, and voila, you do that for the whole year. And then you drop it into, I'm sure you'd use this, but like what do I use? Now I have a social media person, so I don't even know. But whatever tool you use to drop your Instagram post, you can have everything beautifully aligned. But there's just so much you can do with them.
Oh, it's so true. And especially working with a graphic designer as well, I've learned so much from Amber Sweeney. I mean, I plug her all the time, Lindsey, like as much as I can, because she has educated me so much on the importance of building a brand and utilizing your graphics in so many ways. Like, and then of course, when you're incorporating your brand colors, and then again, like with your headshots, like there's just so many ways that you can effectively bring it all together and creatively and like just to stand out. And we have to do that so much more than ever now on the socials. And it could be hard and tricky for people. So like, are you educating your clients? Are you hosting workshops or master classes or anything like that? Have you dabbled into that yet?
So when people are actually in the studio, I always tell them about Canva, my number one. I love when they don't know about it, so I can tell them just how much it's going to change your life. But I'm actually currently building out a course right now to help entrepreneurs. It's going to be Stand Out, Get Seen, Build an Abundant Brand.
Love it.
So it's going to be how you can, show up authentically you, the outfits you choose, how you can use your images for greatest impact, but then all about, like we touched on it previous. So it's also going to touch about how to love yourself in photos and how to show up. Because if you don't love yourself in photos, it's not going to connect with your audience, right? So I think like there's an important key that we're all missing here in my industry anyways. So I'm I'm currently designing a course that's going to sort of encompass all of that, and hopefully so people can stand out and build a better brand.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing I think that comes along with taking pictures when you're behind the camera, is feeling confident in what you're wearing. And my sister, who I'm going to give a little shameless plug to her, the Valley Vogue Styling Co., Erin. So Erin really talks about that and about how much clothing really contributes to your overall style, because like when you are showing up and you're feeling confident in what you're wearing, you feel comfortable, then you elevate a different kind of presence, I think, within your photos as well. So, and you've kind of built a team with this. I mean, you have now you're the photographer, and then you bring on your makeup artist, you bring on a hairstylist, and then do you work with a stylist as well? Like, or do you bring clothes for people? Like, what do you do?
So 1,000%, I think it's so important to have a team on site. Love your sister. I did my color analysis with her. Fantastic job. She's going to be looking at me saying, pink wasn't part of it. But I did want to align with your brand. And I thought, I'm going to just do this for today. But 1,000%, what you wear like will highly determine, the outcome of the photo. So I actually have a style guide I send out to clients that leads them through like just generic tips and what to wear, like neutrals photograph great, jewel tones photograph great. Usually fitted clothing tends to photograph over looser clothing, but it all depends too on your style. So if you headshots, I send out like a generic kind of style guide. Branding shoots actually create you a mood board with some like outfit ideas that I think might align with your brand and might align with the locations we're shooting in. But like 100%, you need to have everything. You need to have a process. So my girl Katie Mintha does my makeup for most of my shoots. And I call her the pre-show. You know, you're spending like an hour getting ready at the studio, getting your makeup done. It gets you relaxed. It makes you feel confident. We sometimes have hairstylists in. A lot of my clients will just go for a blowout before or something, then come in. But for sure, it's that creative team. I would love to work with a stylist on every shoot, but sometimes it's out of the client budget. I highly recommend it. I think it will make or break you. Some people have naturally great style, so it doesn't take as much work. Some people don't know where to begin. So if that's like the case, I highly recommend reaching out to someone like your sister. Because it'll make or break you. It almost gives you, I say, like the superhero cape. Like if you have that like beautiful crisp blazer with the gold button, like it gives you that sense of confidence that you don't even know you have. For me, it's like my camera. When I have my camera around my neck, confident, I can go into any room, walk the talk. When you're in a photo shoot, you need that piece of clothing just to make you feel like alive and beautiful. Or like that lip, you know, you put on a red lip. Okay, maybe now your sex appeal comes out, right? But you need to or maybe it's a necklace from like, this is a chain from my grandmother. It grounds me, right? I've got my worthy wand on. It makes me feel worthy. You need to connect with something on your body that can remind you to stand in kind of that full power.
I love these tips, Lindsey. Now, when someone is arriving to a branding shoot that maybe is not as experienced as someone like myself, like I know now to bring multiple options because you want to have different pieces of clothing. Again, you're thinking of the environment that you're in. I've known from experience that like I can only use so many headshots in the same outfit so many times. You need to change it up a little bit. Now I bring my makeup artist, I bring my hairstylist on board, I bring Erin because Erin will pick out my outfits. And I know that not everybody has that luxury to be able to afford all these additional expenses, but what can somebody be doing? And what are some guidelines that you recommend and how to change up even a select amount of outfits that you have on hand?
For sure. So like dig deep. Like I always suggest, like you're probably going to need to buy one or new pieces, but go inside and shop your closet and see what pieces you can pull together and get creative to kind of combine. You can even rent. Some of my clients who are like, let's just say they're a success coach and they're trying to sell that luxury lifestyle. You can't go showing up in a blazer you had from high school that's all Bali, right? That's not gonna show, like it's not gonna work. So maybe you rent, like there's Fitzroy Rentals in Toronto. You rent something luxury, but like you don't need everything luxury, but you want to sort of get, you know, one that aligns with your style, one that's like more corporate, one that's more fun. See what's you, or borrow your clothes. You need to like beg, borrow, steal. Like if I don't suggest that you like do the whole buy and return, but it's like do whatever you need to show up. Like pretend you're going to meet your celebrity crush. Like what are you going to show up like? You need to show up as that like 2.0 of yourself. Like where are you going to be 5 years from now? That's how you need to show up because those are the clients you want to get. So yes, just do everything in your power to show up with multiple looks. So we have options because not everything's going to work. And you want to like, just say we have a setting like this, pink, doesn't match the setting whatsoever, but I did it for your brand.
Yeah.
So maybe you have one look that aligns with your brand. Your second look, you want to work with the space. Like this is like the kind of boho chic. You might wear like a beautiful linen suit. But just have tons of options so you can repurpose that content for as like long as you can.
Yeah. This is the important thing about collaborating with other industry specialists within your industry, but also out of it, because you learn these things, right? Like you learn about the importance of having different accessories and different colors. And it's an investment. And we're going to talk about this, Lindsey, about the importance of investing in yourself and your brand and your business, because these are all elements that help contribute to you eventually generating revenue, to being seen, to creating that experience for what you're trying to bring to the table. And I always see it as a good thing. Like you're investing right into your business, even though you can't claim it as a business expense, but it's something that's going to elevate you ultimately, and that's going to carry you forward.
Yeah, 1,000%. That's the best piece of business advice someone ever gave me, is invest in yourself. I've did it now through a personal trainer, through a business coach. Wendy Yolom was like personal branding. People fly all over the world to see her. Like I went and I was like, I need to work with you. Right. So I went to her masterclass in Florida. Like just keep investing it. Like your return, it will, double, if not triple.
Yeah. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about money. And I love getting into the weeds about these things because, Lindsey, like, it is an investment to work with a brand photographer, right?
Yes.
And it's also an investment for you when you're setting your prices and your price points for people when you increase them. How have you gotten comfortable with that? How have you really felt comfortable and stand strong to the prices that you're setting for yourself with an expectation with clients and said, like, I'm sorry, like, I'm not budging. I'm not lowering my prices because it might not be affordable for somebody.
Right. So it's been a journey. So when I first started maybe 13 years ago, like all the photographers will, I am sure, relate to this, but like you start trading for photos. I remember, like, what was it for? Trade for photos, FTP was a thing like many, many years ago when I got out of school, right? So you start there, and then it was like the digital dump or whatever. You know, you spend $100 and you get all the photos unedited. Anyways, over time, you build up your confidence and results, though, right? You have to start somewhere because when you're young and starting out, you can't guarantee those results. If there's a bad light day or like you can't guarantee them, so your prices reflect that. But as you get further along in your career, then you can charge more, right? Because you can guarantee those results. And luckily enough for me, working with Michelle, I was able to actually see her price structure and see how she, you know, each year you have to increase it, of course, with the cost of life going up, you have to increase it. And then you just stand behind it, right? So every once in a while, I'll do like a general, see what everyone's doing in Canada, what packages they have, what they're charging, because it's easy to lose sight too. Well, what's everyone doing? But you have to remember that comparison is the thief of joy. So like, don't compare yourself to others. Like, so what do you value? For me, my prices, and I know they're on the expensive side, but I stand behind those prices and I know I can deliver a product that is worth those prices. And I know them having those photos will result in them getting more business. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's like, yeah, those are my prices and I stand by them. But it's don't think that's going to happen overnight. It's like a 15-year thing. Now when someone says like, oh, you're too expensive, I'll say, I'm not for everyone. I totally get there's a budget. I have a budget too, right? Yeah. And I have my prices online now. I know that's a big like hot topic in my industry, but I have my prices online. So that cuts out like 50% of the people. They're going to go look if they can't afford it right now. You know, and a lot of clients have told me that, like, look, I can't afford you right now, but I'm keeping you in mind for the future and I will be back. And which is so beautiful to hear, right? So yeah, put your pricing online and then stick with it.
Lindsey, talk to me now about closing sales as a brand photographer, or really any photographer that's providing a service for that matter, because everybody faces ghosting inquiries. You even said, you know, now that your prices are on your website, it's there, you're going to weed out the people who don't want to work with you or can't afford you or not even at this time. But what about potential clients who just suddenly disappear into the universe? Like, it seems like you've generated a lead, it's going somewhere, and then poof, nothing.
Right. So this definitely happens. Since I've put my prices online, I would say it's cut down by like 70%. So if you're actually brave enough to put your prices online, like this will help you out greatly. But I have a discovery call button on my website now that people, if they're unsure, they can call. And let me tell you, when I first did my discovery calls, they were awful. They were just like, you know, so you just have to get practice and be confident. But like after 3 or 4 discovery calls, you're going to be confident. And if you know what you're doing, it's going to be great. So you have to work on your language. I know Wendy Yolam, the girl that I train with in Florida, she had like a whole section on closing calls. I actually find as long as your process is seamless. So if I talk to someone on my discovery call, if I tell them, look, I'm going to send you such and such, do it right away. Mm-hmm. Like you have maybe like a 6-hour window to have everything set up. So I'm all about automation. For me, if someone wants to be my headshot client or branding client, I'm just like, hey, yeah, no problem. I send them out my workflow. And with that, the invoice gets sent out as soon as they pay the 50% booking deposit. That's important. Like accept credit card online for sure. Get that non-refundable deposit in. That is going to hold your sale. My style guide automatically gets sent out. A week before the shoot, I have something that gets sent out a day before the shoot. So if your process is seamless, then you won't lose a sale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's the really important part. And again, bringing it back to the consistency aspect of it, right? Like and I think having that initial discovery call, getting to know somebody, like anything that's in quotations free, people are going to either show up or they're not. And that can either be a waste of your time or their time. And I see it as like more of a waste of their time, because then it's just like, whatever. I mean, yes, it's a waste of your time, but then that's a client that maybe you didn't want to work with in the first place.
Well, exactly. And knowing that is half the battle. Like, not all clients are going to be for you, and you're not for everybody. That took me many, many years to, really fully understand. You're not for everybody, and that's okay.
Yeah. And you can't take it personally.
No.
Like, you have to just be okay with it. Like, just to say, you know what, this client wasn't meant to work out for whatever reason. Yes, maybe they'll work out down the road, but if not, it's okay. But you can't take it personally. And that's something that we as business owners, like, we struggle with so much internally.
I have a therapist for that. Yes. Just started with her last week. I thought it was going to change my life. But yes, no, it's so important. 1,000%. Don't take it personally. Still working on that.
No, let's get real and honest a little bit more, Lindsey. Have you ever struggled with generating leads and booking consistent brand clients?
So in the past, for sure, I'm going to knock on wood and say, luckily, these past few years, it's been quite consistent without having to advertise. And I'm very blessed to hear that. But it did not start out that way. No. You're always, at the beginning, I used to do mini shoots. I forget, was that what they're called? Yeah, mini shoots, where you offer like a ton of people on the same day. But what I actually think that moved the needle more so than anything I tried was like physical networking. It's like getting out to the social scene, right? For me, it was because I live in Arnprior, I was like building that Ottawa audience. So there was a bunch of networking events that I did and making those connections so you stay top of mind. So and doing events, for me, like photographing events, is it my number one thing I love to do? Not really, but you meet so many cool, amazing people and they see you out. You have on a fun outfit and they see you interacting and they're like, yes, I want to hire her. So if you're ever in a need and you don't have clients, I'd say networking is my number one thing. And also if you can get into events. Yeah.
Isn't that funny though? We always think it's about selling on social media and showing up, but really it's getting back to the basics, handing out those business cards and showing your face IRL.
Right?
Like
1,000%.
Putting yourself out there, getting back to the courage.
Yes.
Overconfidence.
It's the courage over confidence.
Yeah.
1,000%. And in something like my industry, you could plan a creative. Why not try and get the cover of like a local magazine, get some models together, if you're not like super busy, use your time, just constantly go. And it'll catch up, catch on fire.
Now, I see what you're doing lately, Lindsey, and you're doing a really great job at it. And it's educating clients, on the socials about how to position themselves, what to do with your hands, if you're a little awkward, if you don't feel confident. Like, I think it's really great that you're doing these educational tutorials with your reels. And again, you're doing it in a clever and smart and strategic way where you're advertising what you're doing without selling, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's really, really great. But how else would you say that you're marketing yourself on the socials? Because like I said, I see more of these call to action posts than I do with like sales pitches.
Yeah, for sure. So luckily for me, I actually hired Founders Media to do my social media about maybe 6 months ago. So it's my friend Brittany Golly. Shout out to her. She's amazing. So working with her, we kind of created like a strategic plan. How do we want to show up this year? She knows I want to launch a course in the spring. Okay, so move to a more educational presence. And people just love to see the tips, right?
Yes.
And love to know that they're not alone and not knowing what to do with their hands or their body. So I'm trying to say more like, we've got you covered. You don't need to know anything. So I'm doing fun posts on how to pose and kind of how to show up. And with a more educational side. So one day I'd like to launch a course on the side. I'm still going to be doing photography and still serving all my clients. But just to have kind of 2 streams of income, as you probably know, it's hard to show up. When you're booked out months and months in advance, it's like, what else can you offer to kind of serve a more general audience? And I want to my number one priority is to serve and make sure people want to be seen and felt seen and show up. So yeah, it's more educational to sort of help people stand out and get seen.
I think the biggest thing that we have to remember is that it's not just posting, a handful of wedding photos or a collage of branding photos that you featured. Those are still great to have in between, but you really have to get creative. And a little plug to my own team, Josh and Caroline from Caroline Dorothy Creative Co. Like, they did something really fun at the end of 2023, where they did like kind of an overview of the year, and like they zoomed in and they were really using really fun creative elements and showcasing like, the video and the pictures. And they did it in such a fun and unique way, in a storytelling way, that I was like, that's so cool. I want to work with them. And I think that we have to get out of our heads that we're not really necessarily giving away free advice, but we're showcasing like what our talents are, what we can all do. And when you can do it creatively like that is so key. You can't just do a post and a photo share anymore. Not in 2024.
Right? And exactly. That's why I actually added B-roll to like a lot of my packages. Because you need that compelling engagement, right? And what better way to tell stories than through video clips? So my favorite is when you like use one of the beautiful polished photos, but within a reel with the B-roll video, and you cut it to you know, maybe out one night, and you put the fun song in behind. But yes, it's creating that kind of atmosphere that people say, oh my God, yes, she's fun. I want to work with her.
Lindsey, I want to just quickly touch on the investment piece one more time and about how you have learned how to invest in yourself and your brand. You have like mentioned and plugged all these great businesses and women that you're working with, from a makeup artist and to social media management. How have you learned, and how have you taken the time, I think, over the growth of your business to learn that you can outsource now, and it's important to put those dollars into your business in a different way versus like paying yourself, but like still growing your brand by doing that?
1,000%. So you want to stay obviously stay up to date with technology, I think is super important, but just stay one step ahead of the curve. Like my mentor, Rochelle Balberg, always told me, like, you have to be one step ahead of you. People are coming out through school every year. They're going to have all the latest and greatest techniques. Like, you need to learn that too. So like AI, I don't want to be afraid of AI. I want to use AI. Like, let's use ChatGPT. Let's use Photoshop, AI technology, and just use it to enhance us and not be like complaining about it or worried about it, right? Or like right now I'm in the brand DNA program with the brand builders. I want to know everything, like if there's any new technologies and how to stand out as a brand. So I'm investing in that business for the whole year because I think it's super important, right? I get to go to, I think, one of their lives in coming in the Texas somewhere. Anyways, I'm all like constantly, I always have something on the go that is bettering me in my skills. And then I'm all about personal development, like listening to podcasts every day, reading. Like, I just want to learn, soak everything in. And I think that like just keeps you, making you feel alive too.
It's the whole work smarter, not harder mentality, right?
Yes, 1,000%. And like you said, I can't believe I haven't mentioned Lucia. She is my photo editor. I love her to death. She was originally in Ukraine during the war. She's actually had to move a few places. But she is like the best investment I ever made. I edited for 12 years. I was like on my computer. My kids didn't find me. It was up till 4 a.m. every night editing. Now I have someone that I outsourced who I absolutely love. She's better than me. I'm like, why didn't I make this hire sooner? Now who else can I hire? Social media. It's like, can I get anyone? I just want to hire everybody.
Lindsey, have you ever looked at your life now and thought to yourself, like, I made it. Like, I'm doing what I love. I've built a brand and a business for myself. I've gotten a lifestyle that I never could have dreamed of. I'm doing things that I would never in my wildest dreams think of. It's like I said, especially jetting off to exotic places for shoots and speaking at conferences, being on OV Boss Babes, to plug myself a little bit. Like, did you ever think that you saw yourself in this stage where you are in your business?
Not really. Like, I started out in our prior single mom, like relatively poor, like wanted to do something with myself. But like in my mind, I'm nowhere close to making it. I've got so many things I want to do, like so many lives I want to touch. I want to make my own charity. Like, there's just so many things. So in my mind, no, I'm very early on in my career, but I know it's important to celebrate where we're at right now. So I'm super duper, excited about where I'm at and grateful. And like even going away to Prince Edward County this weekend with my makeup artist girl, Katie. It was such a fun 2 days, and we were getting paid to do it. And we actually did take a moment, like on the car ride home, to be like, how blessed are we to be doing something that we love, helping other people. And so, yeah, I can definitely appreciate that where I'm at now, but just so much more growth to do.
I love that. We're never done learning. We're never done growing. There's still so much work that's going on behind the scenes. We just have to keep leveling up, investing in ourselves, and putting that courage first, right?
1,000%. Yes.
Now, Lindsey, two final questions actually for you before we wrap up our session here. But what advice would you have for like another photographer who's just starting out, who sees you, who sees your growth, who hears your story, and they're like, I want to do that? What advice would you have for them?
So stay in your lane, put your blinders up, and don't be looking at other people. I think I mentioned comparison is the death of joy. Like that, well, we're the thief of joy. It's just so important to just focus on what you're doing and focus on serving others and focus on putting your message out there and, creating something beautiful and elevating others' voices, and you won't be let down, right? The minute you start comparing yourself to someone, 15 years ahead of you, it's like you can't compare yourself to that.
No.
Just keep going and keep going. If you keep showing up, you will not fail. So just keep going. Raise your prices. Everyone needs to raise their prices. And just like practice and live in it. And if you just eat, sleep photography. Like for me, it's just, I love the entrepreneur spirit. So just grow, listen to as much information as you can, go work for someone. Like it's so important, I think, to have a mentor and just go work for someone and soak in all the advice they have.
And Lindsey, who is one local boss babe that has inspired you and been instrumental in your entrepreneurial journey? I know you spotlighted quite a few of them throughout our discussion today, but who is one that has really made an impact on your entrepreneurship journey?
So hands down, I know I've mentioned her, but Michelle Valberg. She was lucky enough, I was lucky enough for her to take me under her wing and just show me all the ins and outs with photography. And she just trusted me with big jobs. And I can't stress enough, my career, wouldn't be where it is today without her. She's just been so inspiring. Now she's a Nikon, photographer rep. She shoots for Nat Geo, Canadian Geo. And she also taught me that it's okay to be a woman in business and be traveling, right? She's like, who's to say you can't travel? She's like, why is men okay to travel? And so it gave me that kind of, I guess, the courage to go after it and not have to be like the mom at home, right? And my favorite is when people come in and I tell them about, going on trips or lifestyle, and their question is well, what does your husband do? And I just want to be he's a stay-at-home dad. He's not.
Mm-hmm.
He's a mechanic at Tesla and he does provide, but we're an equal partnership. And she actually taught me just to stand in your true power. And it's you can be successful. And one day I would like for him to be a stay-at-home dad. So people stop asking that question.
Yes.
But just, find a mentor. They're everything. I just can't be more grateful. If I ever have a question on gear or lighting or anything, I always have her to reach out to still. So just grow your network. It is so important to have a supporting crew around you.
Well, Lindsey, you are an icon in my books as well as a boss babe. And so cheers to you and all the success, all the growth, and all the magic that you are going to create and all the empowering women that you're going to inspire along the way. Because like you said, this is just the start. So cheers to you.